base right here. They had to rush past all of the DC police that were here, and then they had to storm up to the steps of the Capitol. They got so close that they were banging on the windows, and of course, we know that they had breached and had gone inside. It is a remarkable scene playing out here. It's tense, it's chaos. We've actually had to move back because of some of the clashes that we have seen just behind me. We've seen FBI storm inside as well as DC police. But again, as you have members of Congress huddled under their desks outside here on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, you have supporters of the president chanting for Trump, chanting
democracy for you and me.
Rachel Scott, thanks very much. Must stop. One billion Chris Christie.
Watch as our country
So quickly, such a scary
goes into
what must happen now?
complete upheaval.
25 minutes or so trying to get the president on the phone by
Look at all the evil that's going on.
The president caused this protest to occur. He's the only one who can make it stop. And it's not good enough. What the vice president just said is not good enough. What the president said is not good enough.
Oh, holy night.
To leave the Capitol
The
grounds
stars
and to
are
allow the Congress
brightly
to do their business peacefully.
shining.
And anything short of that is an application of his responsibility. He spoke to this crowd, his son spoke to this crowd, and sent them on their way. And I don't know that they anticipated this was going to be the result, but it doesn't matter whether they did or they didn't. This is the result of their words.
This
And
could
so now their
be
words
the
will stop
end
them. And it's not
of democracy.
you are saying leave the Capitol grounds and let
Complete upheaval for you and for me. Look at the wind, look at the sea. Listen to my words, all of you and me.
I think all we can do
This
is continue
is
to say it, and I'm trying to finish you what
of democracy.
going on. I tried to call the president immediately. I've tried a number of different
For
ways to get
you
especially those ones who are Republican supporters of the president. Directly before I came on air and said it to you. 20-25 minutes of time. I have an obligation to ABC as well. So I came on the air and said it to you, but it's not going to stop me. We'll continue to try to talk to the president directly.
This is just a remarkable scene unfolding on Capitol Hill. We see these pictures of the Capitol steps overrun by those Trump supporters there inside the Capitol, shot fired inside the Capitol.
As you can see what's going on.
From this, Chris Christie, how does your party?
Not a peaceful transfer of power to the new
I think, and most
president.
importantly, as the country.
What are we going to do? See, this is the banana republic.
Both elected and non-elected, speaking out strongly against the fact that this is not acceptable, insisting that as quickly as possible, the constitutional obligation for the Congress that was supposed to happen today happen as quickly as possible and confirm Joe Biden's election as the next president of the United States. And when that happens, our country is a resilient country. We've survived much worse than this today, and the people of this country will recover. Each of the Republicans themselves is going to have to decide now whether they want to be counted or not, and what they're going to stand up and be willing to say. And I think history will long mark what you were willing to say and do today and what you were unwilling to say and do. And that's why I want to be really clear about the things that the president and the vice president have already said are absolutely insufficient. And anybody who looks at this scene, no matter whether you voted for Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or didn't vote at all, this is not what our democracy is all about. It's not what our country is all about. So as Republicans, we need to decide, are we going to stand up and speak the truth, or are we not? And I think for a lot of those members of Congress, who stood up this morning clapping during the initial proceedings in Congress, then they need to be just as loud about the fact that this is unacceptable.
And you've been clear on that since the early hours of the morning after the election. Very clear that the results had to be respected. If there are any questions about the election, they should be brought in a court of law. If they don't hold up, they should be rejected. You've been exceedingly clear on that since the election. But in some ways, this shouldn't be a surprise. The president has been telegraphing this for weeks, months, if not years. How do you reconcile the fact that it's unfolding this way, the fact that he's allowed it to unfold this way and incited it in this way with the man you've known for more than 2 decades?
I will tell you, George, that I think what I've seen, and I really divide it into pre-election and post-election. Pre-election was politics, political decisions that he was making about how he wanted to conduct the campaign, as you know. And I've been public about it. I didn't agree, and I gave him advice that was contrary to the way the campaign was being run. But those were political decisions. The way he's acted since the election is not consistent with the person that I've known over the last 20 years. And by that, I mean, Donald Trump's always been a fighter and a risk taker and all of those things. But I've met him be the type of person who would allow this type of thing to occur, and in fact, to encourage it to occur. He's had respect for other institutions over the course of time, and been someone who is involved in politics as a supporter of lots of different candidates, myself included. And supported the things that we did and the way we conducted ourselves in office, which was nothing like this. And I really think it's been the president's inability to accept his defeat and his enabling of some really bad people around him by letting them have access to him and listening to their advice that has contributed to it as well. That's not to let him off the hook, George. It's to say that when you're not accepting defeat in politics, there will always be bad people who will give you and let you know what you want to hear, especially when you're president of the United States. And I think that's what's happened, and that's made it even worse.
And as you said, he's not taking your phone call, at least not this afternoon. Chris Christie, thank you very much. I want to bring in Igor Bobek, who probably been close to us inside the Capitol as this all began to unfold. Igor, we're glad you're okay. What did you see?
Incredibly stunning and sad scene here at the Capitol. I was in the hallway of the Senate.
Destination unknown, nice to see you. Yeah, you know, that's true. Hello, Laura Lee. See you.
God bless. In a standoff with one armed Capitol police officer who was unable to hold them back and retreated back up to the second floor, right steps outside the Senate chamber, where there was sort of a mini showdown. Some kind of smoke was set off. The protesters were carrying Confederate flags. They were yelling traitors. They were going door to door, both on the right outside the Senate chamber and up in the galleries. They were asking, where are they? Where are the senators who were not present there? They were evacuated. And one of them actually repelled down into the Senate chamber, the wall of the Senate chamber, and sat down on the very spot where Mike Pence was presiding over the entire Senate session just minutes before, taking a photo saying Trump should have won this election. So it's really just an incredible scene. And
slow down there, Igor. You're telling me he went from the gallery above down into the chamber itself, into the suits.
That's right.
Speaker and the vice president.
That's right. He was posing for a photo up on the day where the president of the Senate, vice president, normally sit, and screaming that President Trump won this election. That's not a short drop. It's a drop of some 20 feet down from the third floor galleries where the guests usually sit down to the floor where the senators are.
What was going through your mind as you saw that?
I don't know what to tell you, George. You would see something like this in a third world country. I'm shocked. I'm still shaking. I can't believe I'm seeing this in our country right now.
Well, we are glad you're okay, Igor. Thank you for telling us that story, a story that I would never expect to hear in this country. Thank you very much. And we were Tony Giannis as well. So I'm going to some more pictures from inside the chamber.
Yeah, we see so much video, but sometimes good to just kind of pause and look at some of the images that have unfolded over the last few hours. This is coming from the Associated Press. This is inside the House gallery. You can see the look of concern on some of these members of Congress's faces right now as they duck for cover right there. This was as protesters were trying to enter the House chamber. If we go to the next photo here, you can see either the Secret Service or members of the Capitol Police here with their guns drawn. You can see their eyes are right there. They're definitely still protesters on the other side of the door that are trying to break into the gallery. And then this photo, a reverse angle, watch this one is the House gallery as well. You can see the members here wearing masks because they were afraid of the tear gas that was going to be used. They wanted to make sure these members of the House could breathe out the
democracy.
Leaving the House gallery as well with masks in their hands. Of those guns, we know that someone has been shot from some of the information we have so far.
A democracy.
And he still won't do that. And also, flying the steps of the Capitol on the same day that George was elected his first black senator. This is where we are right now. And George, you have to ask the question, and I know it's actually a question for you because you advise presidents. President Joe Biden knows he can't get in the middle of this because he will add fuel to the fire. But you could make the argument that this is his first real crisis, and it shows what he's going to be up against in his administration.
There's no question about that. As we see these pictures again, and I want to bring Mary Bruce on this again. As I was watching those pictures,
Of democracy.
We've seen images of protesters, and we point out that that's probably not the word we should be using. These anarchists climbing up the scaffolding, getting right outside.
Yeah, that's true, Chris Bliss. Finally fed up with the corruption. That's true.
Of the president's supporters going essentially door by door through the halls of the Capitol looking for senators and lawmakers. I mean, this is just un-American. It doesn't come close to describing what we are seeing here. And those calls are continuing to grow from Republicans and Democrats.
The Roman city burned. All the people
coming out
the dark ages are upon us. And Rome burns. This is the end.
in November.
Of democracy. This is
and we've got to keep America safe. We've got to support our police. I saw a video earlier of our law enforcement, our Capitol Police being attacked, physically attacked on the grounds of the Capitol.
Crazy.
This is wrong on so many levels. I'm devastated. I'm sad for our nation right now.
And how do you explain explain it? You've got elected as a Republican in South Carolina. That is Trump country. How do you explain how so many people can be so incited to believe so many false claims to the point where they storm the Capitol? Congresswoman? Apparently, we've lost our connections, our phone calls right now. As you see the Trump banner being flown there over the Capitol at this point. Pierre Thomas, let me go to you, our Chief Justice correspondent. What more do we know about where the reinforcements are, what the National Guard is going to do?
George, the DC National Guard, the Virginia National Guard, 200 Virginia state troopers are being dispatched to the scene. We're also being told, in addition to the federal law enforcement officials being asked to help the Capitol Police, we're also being told that local law enforcement, Arlington County Police, Montgomery County, Maryland Police are being asked to step in. I just was on the phone a little while ago with a law enforcement official who said there are no words. And the great concern tonight is that as we head toward dusk.
Okay, good. Straight left, good to see you.
That
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is the riots at the Capitol, storming the Capitol. The Trump supporters are storming the Capitol. They're breaking into the Capitol and everything. So I don't know if you know Street Left. That's what's going on. I've been singing. See with my new guitar. See, and I've been practicing on it a little bit. And the guy in my video, that was my uncle, my dad, my mom's brother. So he plays the guitar and he showed me a little bit about the thing. So.
In June, when there were protesters in Lafayette Square, how quickly and with what force there was a response?
Well, I'm hearing from people who are texting me who are talking about how law enforcement is showing restraint today compared to what took place in Lafayette Park this summer. A lot of people are expressing questions about the privilege that some of these people are showing in terms of walking through that Capitol like they. Yes, they are American citizens. Yes, it's the people's house. But there are ways and rules to do things, and people are quite frankly shocked at what they're seeing. But George, I can tell you right now, the concern is what is to come. This is far, far from over. Law enforcement knows it, and they're now scrambling to amass enough people to again try to clear the Capitol.
This is like the 60s.
How do they get the grounds clear outside the Capitol? What do they do? That's the question.
Thank you, Pierre.
This is a protest in the 60s.
George, I have not taken over in the last little while, but what I want to tell you is right now there's some sort of gas coming over there. Again, we're on the north side of the Capitol. The soldiers is by the security area, and they are shouting, "Let us in, let us in, let us in." I have been to Trump rallies before. I have been threatened before in places. This seems very real. This is out of control here. There's no law enforcement in this area, and there are truly thousands of people here who are not leaving. I think let's go back to the military there again, George. I'm sure at some point the military is going to come and help out in this situation, or the DC Guard or somebody, because this entire plaza is filled with Trump supporters. And I'm not sure if Trump tweeted right now, go home, then they would go home. They are saying over and over again, this is our house. This is our house, and we have a right to go in there. And this is far from over. We are seeing
Molly.
either Capitol Police or DHS with riot shields up there right now. We don't know whether it was tear gas. There was a crowd saying it was tear gas that's coming towards us, and that's why we backed up. But they're now again shouting USA, 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 still trying to get into that building. The one thing that is very clear is Washington, D.C. was not prepared for this in any way. The lack of law enforcement, I mean, I'm sure law enforcement is getting together to try to figure out how to clear this, but they were not prepared for anything like this. This is a dangerous situation, and it's not going to abate very soon.
It doesn't appear that it will. And Tommy Thomas, we're just learning that we have confirmed that an explosive explosive device was discovered at the Republican National Committee?
Yeah, our investigative producers, both Jack Dotkey and John Santucci, making calls on this. They have confirmed that there was a suspicious package at the RNC. They understand it to be a pipe bomb that has since been detonated so far. Nobody was hurt in that. But it speaks to the severity and the level of security right now that we're dealing with on this day. And as Martha has said, it's chilling, George, that this was able to happen. We're going on 2-3 hours now. And, these were MAGA supporters of the president. Imagine if this group had intentions to do something even worse than Capitol Hill. Clearly, they were not ready for this.
No, it appears that they were not. Okay, Tom, thanks very much. I want to go back to Cecilia Vegas. Cecilia, we were just talking to Chris Christie moments ago. He said he tried to get through to the president. His call did not go through. What more are we hearing from inside the White House? Is there anyone the president will listen to at this point?
Yay, smooth operator. Yeah, I was right.
Close to the president. It's not just Chris Christie who can't get through. We're talking about people who are normally in the president's inner circle, people who are close to the president inside the White House and out, who cannot get through the president. And I will tell you, the source is describing this to me as real concern right now among those who are close to President Trump about how to get through to him, how to get this message to him. There is consensus among this group of people close to the president that they strongly believe that he needs to get on television. He needs to get on television soon. They're trying to get this message to him, but that he is not taking these phone calls. They want him to, with his own voice, not over Twitter, call on these protesters to leave and to leave immediately and to condemn what it is that they are seeing right now. There's talk about calling on the cabinet. Where is the cabinet, people are saying at this point, and whether or not they need to be getting involved. We are hearing also from our John Santucci and Catherine Falders, who are reporting that, and I want to give you a little bit more color on what people inside the White House are saying, that people are pushing the president to do more and condemn this violence, that some staffers avoided going to work today because they were so nervous about what would happen, and that the president has been in such a rage for so many days that they didn't want to be anywhere near him. And now some sources are telling our team that they're talking about potential resignations as a result of what they're seeing take place in our city today and in our government today, because they're frankly so disgusted by what they're what they're seeing on television. But George, but it is important to convey this sense of concern. Donald Trump, as we've been talking about, is someone who has kept a circle, and he keeps a team of advisors around him and people that he leans on to make decisions, and that people who can't get through to him right now to convey this message to him that he is the one who can stop this, that he's the one who instigated this, and he is the one who could stop this. That the concern is growing in the top levels of the administration and in this inner circle of Donald Trump, that they're not able to get this message to him.
Thank you, Cecilia. Chairman, I want to circle back to something we were discussing before, in a bit of a different context, with the appointment of Merrick Garland. But I want to get to the broader question of accountability. You've heard in the last several days, particularly after that phone call where the president was asking the Secretary of State of Georgia to basically change the votes.
Jose Cringy, hello.
Should the House consider it's not practical at this point?
Oh, Jin was cited today for noncompliance under the COVID mask law. Apparently, she took it off 14 minutes. Yeah, you're right, Jose Cringy. That's the truth.
For the Congress of the American people, 30 million of us, these people do not represent the country, but they can make a mess, and they do represent a constituency that could be inspired and encouraged by what they're seeing. And so a response is undoubtedly necessary. The problem is we have a tradition in law, confirmed, frankly, under the presidency of Donald Trump, that the president is kind of beyond the law. We like to say no president is above the law, no man or woman is above the law. But look at the history. Nixon got away with it. Trump, the impeachment failed. And here, if you raised impeachment, which you could even in the final days, because impeachment and removal from office can also carry the penalty of disqualification from ever holding public office, honor, or trust again under the United States. And so that is a possibility if the Congress wants to hold Donald Trump responsible for it, which he clearly is. The problem is that the presidency has really risen to such a place of power and insulation from those kinds of restraints, unlike in other countries, that Donald Trump really took advantage of it throughout his presidency. On that call to Georgia, on the call to the president of Ukraine,
on the calling of people out into the streets in front of the Capitol today. And why isn't he saying anything now? Why isn't he calling on them to leave the Capitol grounds and let the Congress do its business, as Chris Christie said?
I think that if George Washington was here today,
I think that's the way he operates.
hey there, I'm here. Hey, Jose Okrenti, I'm here. But if George Washington was here today, I don't think he would want the president to have that much power. You know, I don't think George Washington would want the president to have enough power to do whatever he wanted to do. That's the whole point of being called a president instead of being called a king. You know, because he's not a king. Limited power. The people, we the people. You know, that's the point.
Believe what he's saying because he knows the difference between true and false.
George, I was just on the phone with the president's former chief of staff, John Kelly, so I didn't fully hear your question, but he was reacting in horror to what he had seen. He told me this is as un-American as anything I have seen, and he also said this is what happens when you take the attitude of let's just let Trump be Trump, a criticism of those currently around the president, including his current chief of staff, Mark Meadows.
Okay, we're seeing President-elect Biden now addressing cameras. Let's listen in. Thank you, John.
I'm sorry, not just an inconvenience, but I'm sorry for the reason. I've delayed coming out to speak to you. I initially was going to talk about the economy, but all of you have been watching what I've been watching. At this hour, our democracy is under unprecedented assault, unlike anything we've seen in modern times. An assault on the citadel of liberty, the Capitol itself.
I believe Biden's a good man.
On the people's representatives.
The people made their decision as to what the people wanted. They made a free election, certified in all 50 states. Certified in all 50 states. And that's democracy. And these people that want to put Trump in no matter what, they're trying to subvert democracy and take away democracy.
On those sacred of American undertakings.
Listen to him.
The doing
Listen to
of
this.
people's business.
Listen.
Let me be very clear. The scenes of chaos at the Capitol do not reflect a true America. Do not represent who we are. What we're seeing are a small number of extremists dedicated to lawlessness. This is not dissent. It's disorder. It's chaos. It borders on sedition. And it must end now. I call on this mob to pull back and allow the work of democracy to go forward. You heard me say before in different contexts, the words of a president matter, no matter how good or bad that president is. At their best, the words of a president can inspire. At their worst, they can incite. Therefore, I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege. Storm the Capitol, to smash windows, to occupy offices, the floor of the United States Senate, rummaging through desks, on the Capitol, on the House of Representatives, threatening the safety of duly elected officials. It's not protest, it's insurrection. The world's watching. Like so many other Americans, I am genuinely shocked and saddened that our nation, so long the beacon of light and hope for democracy, has come to such a dark moment. Through war and strife, America's endured much. And we will endure here, and we will prevail again, and will prevail now. The work of the moment and the work of the next 4 years must be the restoration of democracy, of decency, honor, respect, the rule of law, just plain, simple decency. The renewal of the politics. It's about solving problems, looking out for one another, not stoking the flames of hate and chaos. As I said, America's about honor, decency, respect, tolerance. That's who we are. That's who we've always been. The certification the electoral college vote is supposed to be a sacred ritual to affirm purposes, to affirm the majesty of American democracy. But today's reminder, it's a painful one. Democracy is fragile. And to preserve it requires people of goodwill, leaders, the courage to stand up, who are devoted.
Oh, thank you. Thank
pursuit of
you.
Power.
Oh, I'm glad, Jose O'Crinch. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Selfish pursuits of their own
So,
selfish interest at any cost.
yeah, that was my mom's
For the
brother.
common good.
Did you hear him mention that he and his band,
People in our
that song
children
that
watching television
Exile, they talked about it.
think what the rest of the world is looking at.
And so anyway, they were
For
from
nearly
Richmond.
2.5
So
centuries,
anyway,
we, the people, in search of a more perfect union.
in the
have kept
perfect
our
union, the
eyes on
United
that
States of
common
America.
good. America is so much better than we see today. Watching the scenes from the Capitol, I was reminded, as I prepared other speeches in the past, I was reminded of the words of Abraham Lincoln in his annual message to Congress, whose work has today been interrupted by chaos. Here's what Lincoln said. He said, "We shall nobly save or merely lose the last best hope on earth." Went on to say, "The way is plain, peaceful, generous, just. A way which, if followed, the world will forever applaud, and God must forever bless." The way is plain here, too. That's who we are. It's the way of democracy, of respect, decency, of honor, and commitment as patriots to this nation. Notwithstanding what I saw today, we're seeing today, I remain optimistic about the incredible opportunities. There has never been anything we can't do when we do it together. And this God-awful display today, bringing home to every Republican and Democrat and Independent in the nation, we must step up. This is the United States of America. There's never, ever, 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 ever been a thing we've tried to do. We've done it together, not been able to do it. So President Trump, step up. May God bless America. May God protect our troops and all those folks at the Capitol who are trying to preserve order. Thank you, and I'm sorry to have kept you waiting.
The words of a president there from the president-elect, Joe Biden, saying America is so much better than what we're seeing today, calling on President Trump to step up and to condemn what he called a mob on the steps of the Capitol, where Joe Biden will be inaugurated in just 14 days. It was a blistering speech condemning an unprecedented assault on our democracy, saying it does not reflect the true America, saying it's an assault on the rule of law. John Carl, it's hard to imagine that Donald Trump will listen to Joe Biden, but the message was clear.
The message was clear. It was straightforward. Step up, come out and uphold your constitutional duty and call on this to stop. I just spoke to somebody close to the president who put it in starker terms, saying somebody who was a senior official in the Trump White House telling me that if he were man enough he would go up there and he would demand them to leave, demand these people to leave. But he doesn't appear to be listening to any of it. We've seen a growing number of people very close to the president say that he needs to do exactly what Joe Biden just said that he needs to do, and to come out there publicly, call on his own supporters who he directed to go to the Capitol building to now stop, turn around, and to leave.
John Carl, thank you. Mary Bruce, we've seen this balancing act from Joe Biden ever since the election. Have been trying to get on with the business of the transition, prepare for the president. He wanted to come out and talk about the economy. Today, instead, it called on to condemn the mob taking over the Capitol.
And taking a very presidential tone in doing so. This was a tricky line that we had to walk. Obviously, he doesn't want to come out and pour any more, fuel on the fire here, but coming out and in very stark terms, laying out, not just what's at stake here, but what the country is seeing. And, he made it pretty clear without saying it explicitly that he believes the president bears responsibility for this, saying that the words of the president matter, that at their best they can inspire, but at their worst they can incite. And, of course, bluntly calling on the president to come out and condemn this violence. But at the same time, you saw Joe Biden try to strike an optimistic tone at points, saying this does not represent the true America. Because, of course, Joe Biden someone who ran for president and is promising in his administration to work to unite the country. But when you see these images, when you see what is playing out here in Washington right now, it is very clear to see that the work of uniting the country is going to be a monumental task for Joe Biden.
Oh, your coffee mug? Okay. Oh, that's really cool, Laura Lee. Yeah, my uncle was. I'll get it if you want me to.
What? He told us. What's this? It's mine. Right now, Kevin, Congressman, thank you for joining us. I'm glad you're safe.
I want you to look at please, y'all. I want to. I'm just gonna make you a cup of coffee.
This is about my.
First of all, I can get any of this. This is appalling. This is un-American. This should never happen.
This is about what my Social Security application. It's important.
What transpired, my office is right there by the chambers. And I watched the crowd overtake the barricade. And I cannot thank the Capitol Police enough for the job that they have to do.
See, look at this, breaking the windows. See, they broke the windows out. Crazy. There's that Afghan from Rosie show again. Oh, yeah. Oh, I just wanted to say that my cousin, not my cousin, my uncle, 1,100 D.C. National Guardsmen. 1,100 D.C. National Guardsmen have been deployed to the Capitol. So they had deployed 1,100 D.C. Guardsmen. That Laura Lee, I just wanted to say, Laura Lee, that my uncle and his band back then, they opened for Exile a few times. If you saw it and him say it in the video, he opened a few times for Exile, so in his band. So that my uncle's band got pretty good, Got it. Anyway, see, look at the mess. See, that's crazy. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
To the nation. Don't do it by Twitter. I know that he's doing a message right now to call back. This has got to stop, and I know a message is supposed to come out shortly.
So you believe the president is going to be speaking about this, and when you say a message is coming shortly, what does that mean? Some kind of
this reminds me of a third world country,
That's what I believe.
like Eastern European countries that, like they're having the war in the Balkan countries, or Poland, or some crazy European Baltic countries where they have a That's what this reminds you of. Crazy Baltic, Eastern European, Russian, whatever. I'm not saying that. Nothing bad about it.
Recognize the election of Joe Biden, who has protested.
Yeah, fun memories. My uncle's been playing a long time, so he knows what he's talking about. So he helps me, gives me pointers if I ask him anything, about playing. So. Yeah, I've got my the coffee here. We ate us a pizza. This is what this was. Was a. Let me show it to you. Oh, this is a DiGiorno rising crust pepperoni pizza. Join me, shall you? And we got some of this sourdough bread here. I just wanted to show you. It's a sourdough bread, yay. Sourdough bread. I've written songs for, 30 years ago, almost 30. And I just didn't have any music to go with them really because they were like a cappella songs. So I can really put them to gospel songs. It gives me a chance to be able to be creative. I think, music and stuff. It's a way for me to be creative, and kind of express my creativity. I draw and paint, but I think that if you're going to share the memories of your life, you can write songs and it's easier to spread that than art. And literature and music is easy to spread. Yeah, I want to be able to write my own songs and stuff like that. I can play other people's music, but and learn how songs are put together, but also to write some of my own stuff. Yes. And I'm going to be doing a review on this microwave oven. I've got the box with this microwave can. Good mileage, Jane. The prettiest girl on earth. The four beautiful legs. Molly Jane is so beautiful. Molly Jane, what is it, honey bunny? What is it, little one? Little girl. The sweetest little girl on earth. Pretty girls. Pretty baby. My sweet pea. Molly Jane is so good. The pretty faces. Molly Jane is good. Is good, aren't you, sweetie? Yes, baby. My sweet little baby. Baby girl. Yes. She's part Chihuahua. And she's not very big, aren't you, sweetie?
Sacred Capitol buildings, and I'm telling you, these are extremists, and in many cases, they look like anarchists rather than people who are peacefully protesting.
Anarchist. That's the bottom line. Anarchist. Troublemaking people.
One thing by the president himself, he was speaking to that group just hours ago, around 11 o'clock this morning. He was calling on Twitter for people to come out to these protests in Washington, D.C., saying they're going to be wild.
There shouldn't be violence of any kind. Destruction is not part of democracy.
No, it's not. That's true.
There are many ways to dissent. There are many ways to disagree. There are many ways to be upset that maybe your candidate didn't prevail. Look, I was in Georgia on Sunday and Monday. I talked about the two Senate candidates, but
I'm going to show you some of my paperwork.
The presidential election.
This is a printout that I got, the fretboard of the guitar, and some of your chords. And these are some of these chords like B. It's hard to hit the B chord and stretch your short fingers. And then so I print, somebody online was doing videos and alternate ways to do the B chord and the F chord. And this is the cage system to come up with the A pattern on down the fretboard, so you can create different notes out of the same pattern. So and this is different chord charts and stuff. So I'm just trying to get my chords and switch chords and play.
Thanks very much for your time.
Switch
Appreciate
cords and
it.
play.
Serve the President of the United States.
I know you pain. I know you hurt.
No, we are
We had
live.
an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
Well, the president did say go home there, but his message was wrapped in a lie. We're bringing Chris Christie for more on that. He said the election was stolen. He said he won in the landslide. He said they're trying to take it away from you. You know that's not true. You've said it's not true. I guess
See, he's
this is
demented.
for
See, I
trying
mean,
to say to
it's
go
demented.
home. Apparently, we lost Chris Christie. I'll bring that to Kevin Moran.
Well, it's a half a loaf at best. Well, one of the things that President Trump insists upon is that he not ever be considered a loser. And I think this, in some ways, is gasoline on the
Yeah, they might go home, really. That's the truth.
These people. I remember I was at the rally.
He's getting them stirred up. He's getting them all stirred up about the election fraud and all that stuff. He's getting everybody all stirred up worse. Because he keeps mentioning that. Trump keeps mentioning election fraud. And there's no evidence of that because they've checked 2 or 3 times, 8 lawsuits. He called 8 lawsuits. There's no evidence of anything like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong, Laura Lee. I mean, Donald Trump did some good things, but he's irrational because he's saying he won the election and stuff. So it's not important. Yeah, it's much bigger. Yeah, everyone has a right to their opinion, that's for sure. But the way these people is acting is wrong because they're not going with the way of law and order. You know, they need law and order.
You can't have disagreement without it going into violence. But what we heard
But anyway.
from the president enough right now, do you expect more Republicans to speak out?
I think it was not enough. I think we will hear.
I think I'm going to end the stream.
And I won't be surprised if Republicans condemn his statement. I actually think it wasn't enough in 2 regards. He should.
But the riots earlier, the Black Lives Matter, wasn't really all Democrats. That was just this Black Lives Matter. That didn't encompass all Democrats. That was just those a few people that were the Black Lives Matter. That's not really about Democrats. So.
Yeah, we'll see if he does come out with more to say.
Anyway.
Thank you, Sarah. Martha, you're getting some real-time reaction from Trump supporters who've been able to seize the video and take it on their phones.
Yeah.
Real time, exactly. I told them what the president said. They said, as we said earlier, they're not losing. This is beyond what Donald Trump says now. They say
Yeah, Black Lives Matter though isn't about directly. It's not directly about the Democrats. That's not really about the Democrats. That's just some of the Black Lives Matter people were Republicans too. Yeah, I mean, it's like Black Lives Matter could have been Republicans too, so that's true. Anyway, enough of that. I need to save my time on my live time here on my StreamYards. So, but I think that Biden won fairly because there's no episode. Yeah, I'll see you later. There's no evidence of voter fraud or anything. And so, anyway, Laura Lee, I like you anyway, and I thank you for coming here. So, anyway, I'll let you go.